What is the most valuable thing you learned in the service?
I think I learned respect, and self-control.
What is the biggest impact on your life from the service?
That's a hard question. There's so many, but I think it's just the most biggest impact is my life and how I deal with my life and how I, do what, just generally how I treat people and how I treat myself.
If you were suddenly back in time before you joined the service, would you do it again?
Yes. I left high school and joined the service. I went to places that I never thought I'd ever be in, and I met people I never thought I'd meet. And I did things I never thought I'd do. So I grew up. The only thing I've always wished is I stayed in. I could be retired now. Before 3 years, I was a E5, a sergeant. And I could have been E8, after 30 years. So that's the biggest regret I have about not staying in. Because I could have made a career out of it, and I think I like the Army. Sometimes I didn't like what I did, but other than that, I like the Army.
Any cool places that you have been because of the Army?
I think the best place was, I liked Okinawa. I liked Port Louis. I liked my last year. Back then, I was at what they call a DI. I was training boots or new recruits up at Fort Louis. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, I think if you did join the service, any service, make the best of it, learn from it, and try it for a career. It's not a bad life. At least I didn't think so. I hated taking orders, but when I was in the position to give orders, then I was able to take orders a little bit. So it wasn't a bad life.
Where did you get your basic training?
Great Lakes, Illinois, the Navy basic camp. I was stationed to a ship after we left the boot camp, and I was on that ship for 4 years, and then that's when I got out. The ship always traveled to different countries, and the main one was off the coast of Vietnam.
What rank were you when you were discharged?
I was an E5 when I got out. I just had a great time in the Navy, spending time with different people, learning what they did, and their activities through their lifetime also.
What is the most valuable thing you learned in the service?
A lot of respect. I think that today everybody should join the military, get into it, learn respect and how to honor the country and things like that.
Do you stay connected with any of your friends that you served with?
Yes, I contact a few of them on Facebook. I see them. We always have a ship reunion every year. They have one. I have not been to one yet, but a lot of these members are on Facebook, and I contact them through Facebook.
Would you recommend joining the service to any high school kids? Why or why not?
I do recommend all. I think today they ought to go back to the draft again, myself, and that everybody should go in and they would learn some respect and discipline.
If you were suddenly back in time before you joined the service, would you do it again?
Yes, I would. I'd like to go back. If I would have known today what I knew then, I would have stayed in properly in the military.
What was your favorite meal in the chow hall?
Going back to Vietnam, when the chow hall was working, we had a really good mess sergeant, the guy who was in charge of everything, and he had connections down in Saigon with the general's mess. And usually at least once a month we would get steaks, and sometimes we'd have surf and turf. We'd get lobster tail and stuff like that. And that was well appreciated. Even though they were GI steaks and it was like eating shoe leather, it was still good. It was steak.
Were you ever stationed overseas, and where?
My first tour in the Army was in Vietnam from November 71 to November 72. I went back. I did a year in Korea. I've been in Japan, the Philippines, numerous tours of the Persian Gulf in Kuwait. I've been one tour in Afghanistan, and I did 2 tours in Iraq.
Did you ever feel disconnected from society when you joined the service?
Not when I joined the service. When I came back from Vietnam, I did. I mean, a lot of my fellow vets talked about, being mistreated and all. I wasn't mistreated when I came home, but no one spoke to me. I flew from Oakland, California to Washington National, now Reagan Airport in D.C. No one spoke to me. The first person I heard from, I walked into a coffee shop and at Washington National, and there was an Army chaplain sitting at the bar, and he looked at me and he saw it's November and I'm wearing a summer tan uniform, and he said, "Welcome home, let me buy you a cup of coffee." I spent 38 years altogether. One, I went ahead and I had already had one company command. I was a captain at that time, and I was bored with what I was doing. I was an instructor at Fort Knox, Kentucky, and things started to get stagnant, so I threw my name in the hat to take an additional command of a unit that was kind of like in the toilet. It was in the bottom of the barrel. And I was able to get some good non-commissioned officers in there, and we were able to build that unit back up to one of the best on Fort Knox. My second tour in Iraq, I ran kind of a CSI type mission over there where we got the bad guys computers, computer media, printed material, cell phones especially, and we were able to sort through everything and find out who was talking to who and then locate them. And it took us on the average of about 2 weeks to find out who the new Al-Qaeda leader was and then go out and get them and take them down. And that was probably the most successful thing I've done in the military.
What is the most valuable thing you learned in the service?
Probably to serve something bigger than yourself. Okay, and that applies to today. We all go in as late adolescents, young adults, and our whole world focuses on us. And that isn't what it's about. There's a lot more out there, and you got to become part of it. The world doesn't serve you, you serve it. It taught me that the life we have is not free. Okay, somebody's got to pay for it.
Are you now more aware of what is happening in the world?
Absolutely. We, as American citizens, have a say in what goes on. And it is our duty as a citizen to stay as best informed as we can. And we can let people know whether they're going in the right direction or the wrong one if they listen. If they don't listen, then vote them out of office.
Would you recommend joining the service to any high school kids? Why or why not?
Absolutely. Like I said, serve something bigger than yourself. Even 3 or 4 years goes very quickly. Even if you don't.
If you were suddenly back in time before you joined the service, would you do it again?
Absolutely. I graduated from Quakertown High School when I was 17, and my mom wanted me to go to college, so I went to college. I was sick of school. I really didn't have an interest in it. I wanted to go out and see the world. So I spent my first year in school. Basically, I had already seen all the courses I had, so I showed up, took tests, and the most important things to me were the swimming team, the fraternity I pledged to. And at the beginning of my sophomore year, I said, no, I'm not going back. And I dropped out of school knowing full well I had a draft number of 42. So by October, I got a notice to go take a physical. And by the end of February, I got a letter, greetings from the president. You will report to the United States Army. And while I was there, we took our testing, and this old sergeant came out and called out some names. My name was one of them, and he said, "Oh, you guys got good scores." And he looked at me and said, "Do you like helicopters, boy?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "Good, you go sign up. Give me one more year, and I'm going to put you in aviation." So I did that, and I think I made the right choice. Vietnam has bitter memories, as does any war. I've been in 4 of them, and there's stuff that you don't want to think about or whatever, but you also wind up seeing the best of humanity, and that's for the people that I served with in all that time.